Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I brought a very interesting topic for you, one of the most interesting topic because students are so curious about the nervous system. So I brought the pain gate theory and some basics of neurons, simple structure of neuron, and we will study the terms related to the neurons, right? So let's start. This is a neuron. See, all the neurons are present in our nervous system. First of all, this portion is the cell body. This portion is the cell body, or we can say the cytosol. Okay, and the central portion is called the nucleus. The center portion is known as nucleus, and these projections are known as dendrites. Okay, and this long rod like structure, this helps in conduction. It is known as axon. This is known as axon. And this is myelin sheet. This helps in conduction of an impulse. myelin sheet is Myelin sheet is actually insulating material, but it helps in fast conduction of an impulse. Okay, and there are some granules like structures in the cyton as well as in the dendrites. These structures are known as nasal granules. These structures are known as nasal granules. These are granules like structure. These are basically they contain basically they contain the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So their main function is they are helping in the synthesis of the proteins because they have rough endoplasmic reticulum in them. And this space between the two myelin sheets is the node of Ranvier. And at the end points, these are the axon endings. Axon endings or axon terminals, you can say. And these are the knobs known as synaptic knobs. So here is the structure of the neuron. You can see structure of the neuron. Dendrites, the projection outwards the cyton are the dendrites, the cell body, the main body of the neuron, and the nucleus in the center. The nasal granules present in the dendrites as well as in the cyton. Nasal granules are responsible for the protein synthesis as they contain the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The axon, the rod-like structure projecting outward from the neuron, and the myelin sheet. This is an insulating material. And the axon terminals, and at the end points there are knobs known as synaptic knobs. This is a basic structure which we have started in the +1, +2, 10th. It was just a basic, just for revision. Now, let's start with some terms related to the neurons. First of all, efferent fibers. These are the nerve fibers which transmits an impulse from receptors under skin to the central nervous system. Okay, afferent fibers are basically the nerve fibers which helps in conduction, is that they transmits an impulse by the stimulus. A stimulus travels across the neurons. Afferent fibers are responsible which transmits an impulse from the receptors under our skin, and they transmits the signal from our receptors to our central nervous system, is that brain or spinal cord. These are the nerve fibers which carry the signals from our receptors under the skin or muscles to the central nervous system. Coming on to the efferent fibers. Efferent fibers. So, efferent fibers are the antagonist in its function to afferent fibers. Antagonist means against. Okay, means their function is opposite of that of efferent fibers. Basically, efferent fibers, they central nervous system responds to a stimuli. Central nervous system processed detect a stimulus, then the response from the central nervous system to our effector muscles are carried or transmitted through the efferent fibers. In simple language, we can say the central nervous system's response of a stimuli. A central nervous system's response of a stimuli from central nervous system to effector muscles transmits by the efferent fibers. I hope the difference is clear between the afferent fibers and efferent fibers. Now, coming on to our topic, first of all, nociceptors. Okay, these are the receptors present under the skin joints or muscles. These receptors receive the stimulus of harm. For example, excess of heating, thermal response, and pain response. These receptors are responsible. Okay? Nociceptors are the receptors present under the skin, joints, or muscles. They detect the harmful stimuli. They detect the harmful stimuli like excess of heating or pain, etc. Okay. Nociceptors and mechanoreceptors. Let me talk to you about mechanoreceptors because students are confused in nociceptors and mechanoreceptors. Mechanoreceptors are the receptors. They simply transmits the signal, perceive and transmits the signal, but they detect the physical touch, vibrations. Okay, all right. Mechanoreceptors are the receptors only. They perceive the physical touch or vibrations, but nociceptors, they receive or perceive the pain. The senses of the pain, they are perceived by the nociceptors. I hope this is clear. Before understanding the pain gate theory, we will move on to the pain pathway. How the pain perceives in our body. Okay, how it travels in our body and how it transmits through the afferent fibers to the central nervous system. How the process proceeds, we will study in the pain pathway. So let's start studying. So here is the diagram of the pain pathway. Suppose this is our finger and our finger is in contact with the excess of heat, means our finger is burning. So the nociceptors under our skin detects the response, afferent fibers activates, and the signals travels through the neuron to the spinal cord. This is the TS section of the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, dorsal side. Okay, this is the dorsal side. Okay, dorsal side, here is the SG, substantia gelatinosa. Signals travels to it, and then it will release the P substance, which is a neurotransmitter. SG is substantia gelatinosa. Okay, P substance is related, which is a neurotransmitter, and from here the signals travels via neuron to the LST. LST is the lateral spinothalamic tract. It is the lateral spinothalamic. So lateral spinothalamic tract. Okay, this is the LST. It is present here, the ventral side of the spinal cord. Okay, and the neurons which transmits the signal from SG to the LST part of the ventral system, part of the ventral. There are the second order neurons involved in the process. Okay, these are the second order neurons, and from LST it transmits the signal to the medulla. Again, they are second order. From LST to medulla, medulla to pons, and from pons to the midbrain. These three are known as brainstem. Okay, and from midbrain to thalamus, and from thalamus to the somatosensory cortex. So from thalamus to somatosensory cortex via third order neuron. Okay, just a second. Third order neuron. All right, here the sensation perceives. And we feels the pain. Let's summarize it again. This is our finger. Suppose we came in contact with the excess of heating or burning sensation is felt over our skin. So how does it felt? Burning sensation recognized by the afferent fibers, and through the afferent fibers it travels the sensory signal. Sense receptors detect the sense, and the afferent fibers neurons travels or transmits the signal to the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, where the SG is present. SG is the substantia gelatinosa. SG is present, and SG releases the P substance. P substance is a neurotransmitter. P substance is a neurotransmitter. So SG substantia gelatinosa, it releases the P substance known as which is a neurotransmitter, and again via neurons from SG to the LST, the second order neurons are responsible for the transmit from the SG to LST, and from LS2 to medulla to pons, and pons to brain. These three comprises the brainstem. All right, and the neurons involved are second order only. Okay, from midbrain to thalamus, and only this portion, the thalamus to the somatosensory cortex. The neurons involved are the third order neuron. This is how it travels. This is how the pain travels from our receptors, from our nociceptors to the our cortex of the brain, and the pain perceives here in this region. The pain is perceived. I hope it is all clear to you. Have a look on the diagram. LST, lateral spinothalamic tract. P substance, which is a neurotransmitter. SG, substantia gelatinosa. This is dorsal horn. Actually, this is a TS section of the spinal cord, and here is the dorsal horn. Here is the SG, substantia gelatinosa, which releases the P substance. P substance is a neurotransmitter, and here the second order neurons are involved in transmission of the impulse from the dorsal side to the ventral side. LST is the lateral spinothalamic tract. From LST, it transmits its signal to the medulla. From medulla to pons to midbrain, and this comprises the brainstem, medulla, pons, and midbrain, and midbrain to thalamus, and this this particular this particular thing, thalamus to the somatosensory cortex. Third order neurons are involved in its transmission, and this is a part or a region of a brain where the sensation is perceived, where the pain is perceived here. This is a basis for the pain gate theory or the pain modulation theory. I hope it is clear to you. So, why we are studying the pain gate theory? What is the need of pain gate theory? Actually, this is a part of electrotherapy, but we are studying the pain gate theory in order to study the TENS. TENS, what is this TENS? TENS, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. This is our modality. Transcutaneous electrical nerve system. Transcutaneous means through the cutin. Cutin is our skin. Through the cutin. Transcutaneous, under the skin or through the skin, electric current penetrates. Okay. Electric currents in the form of little currents, it penetrates our cutin and the nerve stimulates. This is a modality, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. But in our today's lecture, we are going to focus on our principle. Principle is, it is based, this machine, this modality is totally based on the principle. The principle is the pain gate theory or pain modulation theory or pain gate control theory, you can say. Pain gate theory. We are going to study this theory. Pain pathway was the basic of this theory, and now we are going to study the pain gate theory, which is a principle of our modality, that is TENS, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. Okay. In today's lecture, we will study only the pain gate theory, how it operates. The pain gate theory is responsible for blocking the pain. How does it blocks the pain? The things related to nervous system are actually very interesting. They are so means the students are so curious to know about the nervous system, about neurons, how the impulses travels, how the reflex arc acts, how it, you know, all are so curious to know about all these things. This is my favorite personal topic, the nervous system, the neurons, synaptic. Okay, coming on to our topic, pain gate theory was postulated. Pain gate theory was proposed by the Malzak and Wall in the year 1965. Pain gate theory was proposed by the Malzak and Wall in the year 1965. So, we were discussing about the pain gate theory. Pain gate theory was proposed by the Malzak and Wall in the year 1965. This is how the pain blocks. How can we block our pain? How does it operates? You are clear with the nociceptors? You are clear with the afferent fibers? There are two types of afferent fibers. Two types of, sorry, A delta fibers, C fibers, C fibers, and A delta fibers, C fibers, and A beta fibers. They are myelinated. They are myelinated. They are unmyelinated, unmyelinated, and they are myelinated. Clear? So these are the afferent fibers. Three types of afferent fibers: A delta fibers, C fibers, A beta fibers. Myelinated fibers means they have the myelin sheet. They have the myelin sheet though, so they conduct fast. Fast conduction of pain is there because they are myelinated. In case of myelinated neurons, there is a jumping conduction involved. Suppose this is an axon, this is myelin, this is again myelin sheet. Myelin sheet is insulating as I told you earlier. Jumping conduction is like, here is our impulse. Impulse directly jumps from here to here. It will not pass through our myelin sheet because it is insulating. It will conduct like this. It will conduct like this. This is solitary conduction, or the jumping conduction we can say, because myelin sheet is present over here. The impulse will not travel via myelin sheet. It will travel like this. It will not pass the myelin sheet, or it transmits the signal like this. It conducts like this. So this is known as jumping conduction or the solitary conduction. Fast stimulus is there means fast stimulus, it will conduct fast. Slow conduction, fast conduction. Now A delta fibers and C delta fibers both are responsible for perceiving the pain. Okay. Receive the pain. This activates in case of vibration, pressure. Okay. Now the thing is, A delta fibers, when A delta fibers and C fibers activates, it receives the pain or it transmits the signals of pain. A delta fibers plus C delta fibers, they both transmits the pain or receive the pain. They both are responsible to receive and transmit the pain. It helps in conduction of the pain. But these activates in case of the vibration or the pressure. Remember the thing, they A delta fibers plus C fibers plus A delta fibers plus C fibers and A beta fibers can never conduct simultaneously. Can never conduct any signal simultaneously. A delta fibers, C fibers, and A beta fibers. Okay, these are the afferent fibers: myelinated, unmyelinated, and myelinated. Fast conduction, slow conduction, Again fast conduction because they are myelinated. This is axon, this is myelin sheet. Again myelin sheet is present over here, and the conduction is like this. The impulse will not cross the myelin sheet. The impulse will not cross the myelin sheet. There is a jumping conduction or the solitary conduction. That's why the conduction is fast. These both A delta fibers and C fibers, they both transmits the pain or receives the pain. Transmits the pain or receives the pain. A beta fibers activates in case of the in vibration or pressure. Myelinated, it conducts fast. Unmyelinated, slow, transmits pain. A beta fast, A beta fibers, myelinated or fast conduction, it will show. Activates in vibration or pressure only. These conducts or perceives the pain. It transmits, basically these are the fibers, afferent fibers transmits the. So A delta fibers, C fibers and A beta fibers. A delta fibers and C fibers, they both are responsible to transmit the pain. They together will transmit or conduct the pains through the neurons. They three types are of afferent fibers. Together A delta fibers and C delta fibers transmits or receives the pain. A beta fibers are myelinated. Fast conduction activates in vibration or pressure. In case of any pressure or vibration, A beta fibers activates. Now these both can never conduct simultaneously. Both never conducts simultaneously. Either conduct simultaneously. Either the A beta cells activates and the vibration travels or the pressure travels across the neurons, or either the pain travels. Pain or the vibrations can never travel both, because either they will work, A beta fibers will work, or either A delta or C fibers will work. Can never conduct both. Pain or vibration or pressure can never transmit simultaneously. This is the key concept for the pain gate theory. Now how does it works? Suppose here the pain is there. Suppose the pain is in the finger through the afferent fibers. Which fibers will activate? A delta fibers plus C fibers will activate and transmits the pain. These are the afferent fibers which activates and transmits the pain. The signal will travel again in the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. This is the TS section of the spinal cord. Dorsal horn, and here is the ventral side. Now the thing is, we have applied the tense. Tense is applied, so tingling effect is there, known as paresthesia is there. So it will travel. Tingling effect will travel. How it will travel? Now this is being blocked. How it is being blocked? For example, the signal travels here. The SG is present here. Here is the LST. SG substantia gelatinosa, and LST is the lateral spinothalamic tract. Now, as soon as we applied the tense, vibrations are there. As soon as we applied the tense, our modality, the vibrations are there, so the vibrations will travel through the A beta fibers, means A beta fibers are activated. If A beta fibers are activated, it will travel, the sense will travel in the TS section of the spinal cord, and here the GABA substance is released over here. GABA, that is gamma butyric acid. It is a neurotransmitter. This is a neurotransmitter. This is the neurotransmitter. Its effect is inhibitory. It blocks the pain. This is responsible for blocking of the pain. As I have mentioned earlier, they both never can travel or conduct simultaneously, because A delta fibers and C delta fibers were involved in a transmission of the pain. But as soon as we applied the TENS, A beta fibers activate, and the sensory signals travels in the spinal cord, and the GABA is released over here. The GABA, which is a neurotransmitter, it is gamma butyric acid neurotransmitter. Its effect is inhibitory. It inhibits the pain, or it blocks the pain, as A beta fibers conducts the vibration or the pressure. So through the neurons, vibrations are traveled or pressure is traveled. Pain is being blocked. Pain is blocked over here. That's it for today.